Well, hello, my journey walkers. Welcome to another Walking Out Wednesdays with Coach T. That would be me. And here is where I try to give you a few words to live by so that as we are walking out this journey called life, we get better at that walk. Okay? So, this is our fifth and final week of my Walk It Out Wednesday series dedicated to the healing and restoration of women. In the past 4 weeks, we've established our identity. We've been able to clean up our emotional baggage, and we've also been able to level set expectations. So be sure to go back and watch those videos and those replays. And there are some awesome lessons that are embedded, exercises that are embedded in some of the lessons that I truly believe is going to plant the seeds of healing and restoration to take place in your life. So we're now moving on to the last phase in this series where we are reclaiming our time. So I am sure that everybody remembers House Representative Maxine Waters' verbal altercation with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. I'm pretty sure I'm not saying his name right, but y'all know who it is. Anywho, during a House Financial Services hearing back in 2017, he basically tried to skirt around answering a very pointed question that Rep. Waters asked him by basically giving this long-winded compliment to her in an attempt to run out her clock of limited time that she had to ask her questions. And so Waters so eloquently, repeatedly interrupted him with this renowned phrase that is now a gospel song, "I'm reclaiming my time." So in listening to it, I realized that Rep. Waters was dropping some straight gems. And it made me think about how we can reclaim our time in our daily situations and interactions with people where they try to rob us of that that belongs to us. Things like our joy, our peace of mind, our confidence, our creativity, and even our beliefs and passions about our hopes and our dreams. So I'm gonna share some of those gems that I pulled out today. First is standing in your given authority. I think one of the things that we loved and admired so much about Auntie Max was that she stood in her authority. Number one, she knew what her authority was. She knew what she could and couldn't do. She also knew what he could and couldn't do. She was never shaken, never rattled, and she was never thrown off her square. And she held him accountable for what he knew, and they both knew what the rules were. I think the same thing is true for us. One of the ways that we can reclaim our time is that we have to know our authority, know our place, know our position, and hold people accountable to act accordingly. I'm going to follow the rules, and so are you, right? Number 2, responding to the expectation of the old you. Hey, look, thank you for the memory trip down memory lane. It was a great visit, but let's not focus so much on the things that I've done and rehashing all these battles that I've overcome already. I don't need you to run down my life history or my story to me because I'm the one that lived it, okay? So while you're so busy trying to talk about who I used to be and what I used to do and how I used to do it and who I used to do it with, let's understand one thing. That was then, this is now, and I'm talking about this situation. I'm talking about this particular thing, this particular situation, this particular conversation. Let's stay focused, okay? I don't need you to run down my life. Let's talk about what it is today, not what it was 20 years ago. If you knew me before, you do not know me now. I told y'all last week, I'm going to probably need to reintroduce myself to you, right? And that's probably what you need to do. The second thing is that we need to redirect people back to the subject at hand. So let's really talk about, let's acknowledge my growth, number 1. Let's have you acknowledge the fact that I am not the same. I do things differently. I don't operate the same. I don't have the same behaviors. I don't have the same responses. And I don't partake in the same things. I am different. I have made changes to my life. And in order for you and I to coincide in this space together, you're going to have to, number 1, you're going to have to acknowledge that change has taken place, and then you're going to have to respect it. This is why we have to be somewhere reiterating our boundaries to people. Let's talk about respecting my boundaries, okay? We have to let people know, here is the way that you're going to have to operate with me in this new space if you want to remain in my new space. And we talked about this last week, but I want to make sure that a part of reclaiming our time is making sure that people, sometimes, they don't get it the first time. You may have to say it again. So let's talk about what the boundaries are, okay? Let's talk about what they are again, so that in case you're confused, in case you're not sure, let me reiterate it to you. I'm reclaiming my time. The next thing is that we have to make our requests known. So let's talk about my expectations of you going forward, and let's talk about what you can expect from me going forward. Here's how I operate today. Forget what happened last week. This is how I operate today. And in order for you and I to be in this space, I expect you to operate this way in response to the way that I operate, the way that I operate. And let's just make this clear. Whatever you was expecting before in these situations, it's not the same. So let me just help you understand what you probably gonna get out of me. Okay? And then you can decide for yourself if you still want to be in my space or not. But that's another way that I am going to be able to reclaim my time. You will not rob me of my growth. You will not rob me of the new experience that I am taking myself through. You will not rob me. You will not keep me from being the woman that I am now growing into, that you will not stop me from that new place that I am going to. This is how I have to stop you. I have to reclaim my time. What's for me is for me. And guess what? How I get to what's for me is not by sitting around being stagnant. How I get to what's for me is by taking the necessary steps to claim what's already meant for me. You're right. What's meant for me is what's for me is for me, and can't nobody take it from me. You're absolutely right. But guess what I can do? I can leave it on the table, and it never gets picked up. It's almost like playing the game of Super Mario. You keep on missing them coins. Hey, they don't go to nobody else. Your opponent don't get the coins that you missed. You just missed them. And I'm saying, we're not leaving anything on the table in this season, okay? We're taking it all. I'm not leaving nothing in this season. I'm reclaiming all of my time, and I'm getting everything that God has for me. And part of how I do that is to make sure that I am taking the maximum, that I'm getting the maximum, or making the best of every moment, getting the maximum result, making the maximum impact in every situation, in every opportunity. I'm not leaving anything on the table. That is how you reclaim your time. I am the Coach T. I hope that this series has really, really blessed you, and I look forward to doing more series with you. Again, I will be back on back on my regular schedule next Wednesday. So I am the Coach T, and remember to just be you. See you next week. Bye-bye.